Hello, subscribers and newcomers alike. Welcome to my channel. I am HollyLynora, and today's video is a little special. It's a little creepy. It's a little scary. We are doing things different today. It is Halloween, and we are discussing a serial killer, Ted Bundy. If you are new, why don't you subscribe? If you're not new, sit tight. Let's have some fun and let's learn about Mr. Serial Killer Ted Bundy. Okay, Bundy. This dude. So Ted Bundy was born in Burlington, Vermont, November 24th, 1946. His mother, whose name was Eleanor, was not married at the time, and to her that was just to have a baby and not be married. That was humiliating. It was, not her religion. She was embarrassed. She actually had him at a home for women that were not married, and once she had him, the embarrassment just grew. She was frustrated, once again humiliated, and decided, cannot do this. Now, you're asking, well, who's the father? Where is the father? I did some pretty hardcore research on trying to find out officially who Ted Bundy's father is, was, whatever, and I came across quite a bit. One site said that his father was an Air Force veteran named Lloyd Marshall, and the one that I came across the most was that his father was actually his grandfather. Ew. So, we're not sure who his father is. Even on his birth certificate, it says unknown. So you can see right there from the start that his childhood was a little wonky, from the get-go. So Mom, Eleanor, wants to give this child up for adoption, and the parents, which keep in mind, grandfather is probably Bundy's father. They're like, no, we'll take the child. We will cover this up, because the parents were just as embarrassed as the mother, Eleanor, was. And then they decided that, hey, Eleanor, instead of mom, you're going to be called sister. So Bundy grew up for a good amount of his lifetime, his younger lifetime, thinking that mom was sister. Once again, that's really, really wonky. But in a book by one of Bundy's close friends, she wrote the book A Stranger Beside Me. It does say in that book that Bundy just kind of figured it out. 20 years between siblings, a little bit, something's not right here, and sister always did take care of him. So I guess he just put two and two together and figured out, hey, mom, you're not my sis, quit it. Bundy's upbringing was fairly normal, aside from the fact that his grandfather / father had some anger issues, no doubt, and that included Ted Bundy, Ted Bundy's mom / grandmother. It included pets. This dude was just raging on any kind of being that crossed his path. And of course that had an effect on Bundy. In school, he was quite smart. Bright boy, just did not do well with other peers. So clearly he was no quarterback of the football team or the most popular, but hey, he was smart, and those grades did get him somewhere in life. Around the age of 3, sorry, I went back. We're at 3 years old now. 3 years old, he started getting into knives, and it was a very odd fascination that the grandparents caught on to, but they didn't think too much of it, didn't worry too much about it. And it wasn't until his teenage years that he started getting into things a little more disturbing, like peeping into people's windows. Ew. That just creeps me out right there. So he's a teenager and he's already looking into people's windows. He's that peeping Tom, peeping Ted. Okay, sorry, this is not a funny story whatsoever. Let me just disclaim, nothing about Ted Bundy in that whole situation is funny, but to not bring you down today, if I say a little humor, it's just to ease it up. It's not because this is a funny situation. Sorry. So, he's peeping into people's windows. He's also stealing things left and right, like it has no consequences. If he saw something he wanted, well, he took it. Certainly don't like that. Okay, so now we are in 1951, and Eleanor Louise, it was Eleanor Louise, but we're just going to call her Illinois. I just said Illinois. Eleanor, and she has married a guy named Johnny, and Bundy did not like his stepfather. People think that the main reason he did not like his stepfather was because he was too uneducated. He was working class, didn't make enough money for Bundy. Bundy just was not proud and very much resented the fact that his stepfather was not a rich guy that could give him everything he wanted. How sad. So with that being said, Bundy would act out towards his stepfather. It was pretty clear that Bundy didn't like him. I don't know if the feelings were mutual, but Bundy did not behave for his stepfather. And then Bundy also began to resent his mother because he was an illegitimate child, and that caused a lot of tension there. So Bundy at this point is just not liking anybody. I feel like it's like a pity party. Like, poor me, this is not the life that I should have been born into. Well, you were. Okay, so we know that Bundy is illegitimate. He's not the happiest of children. He's not satisfied with his life. He's kind of a weirdie at school. He makes good grades, but he just doesn't fit the profile of a popular student or peer. He's fascinated with knives. He's already peeping into people's windows and stealing things. So he's not off to the best future, if you will. It's not looking good for Bundy. But as I mentioned earlier, told you remember about his grades. His grades did get him somewhere, despite the fact that he was in the Boy Scouts and came up to one of them from behind and hit them in the head with a stick. Like, what is that? He did graduate from the University of Washington with a degree in psychology. Psychology. Okay. So while he is at this school doing his thing, kind of coming out of his shell, he's not socially awkward anymore. I guess maybe he realizes he's good looking, and maybe he realizes he's got a little bit of charm to him. So he starts coming out of his shell and he meets a beautiful young girl. She's attractive. She's a brunette. Her family has money. So she's this classy thing, and it truly is Bundy's dream girl. He's thinking, I've always wanted money. I've wanted to get what I wanted. My father was working class. Forget that. But this girl has it all. Well, they break up. And Bundy is he's truly heartbroken. He is devastated. The girl of his dreams is gone. And not only is the girl gone, but the money that came with her, everything, he just feels like he's lost it all. And then come to find out, his victims, they all in some way resembled the girl. The love of his life, the girlfriend that broke up with him, they all resemble her. So now you know a little bit, a very little bit. Bundy, there's a lot to Bundy, but we're just gracing the surface here so you at least know kind of who I'm talking about. So we're getting into the gory. From 1974 to 1978, that is 4 years, Bundy confessed to 30 murders of women. That's a huge number. And he would rape these women as well before he beat them to death. I mean, and beating someone to death is cruel. That takes a lot of energy and a lot of, I guess, built up anger to just wail on somebody until they die. Oh my gosh. And he did that 30 times is just what he confessed to. But I read that there is possibly 100+ victims that he didn't confess to, that just the cases remained unsolved, which is always very, very sad. So here's what Bundy would do. I'm going to post a picture of Bundy, and you're going to see the dude's not ugly. He's honestly a good-looking guy. So what he would do is he would pretend. He would put a cast on his arm or walk around with a crutch like he was injured. And then he'd have like a big pile of textbooks or just something that was heavy, a load of something in his arms, and clearly he's injured, so he's struggling and he needs help. So he would locate his victim, and this was in parking lots. I know he did this at a lake. Let me see what lake that was at. Okay, so it's Lake Sammamish. I'm so sorry if I'm not saying that correctly, but I will put it on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. So he was pretty much always on the prowl. Think about it. Possibly 100+ victims in a 4-year span. You're gonna be busy, buddy. You're gonna be busy. Anyway, so he would get these females, hey, arm's broken, I have this huge pile of textbooks or whatever. Can you please help me, walk me to my car, and if you would just open the trunk. If you would just open the door for me, you'd be doing me a huge, solid favor. That's all I need. Sure. And little did these women know they were walking, literally, that was the most fatal agreement out there. To just be like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. And what scares me is I work with people. I almost every day am doing things to help people, to, make people smile, make their days. That's my job. And I know if it were me and he were to come up to me and be like, hey, could you please help me? I'm injured. All I need you to do is open the trunk of my car so I can slide this in. My car's right over there. And he drove I think it was like a white or yellow punch bug, Volkswagen punch bug. Like, how much more innocent can it get? If it were me and he were to ask me, you know what? Sure. I totally would have. And I'm sure I'd have walked with him and been like, oh, bless your heart, your little arm's broken. I'm sure I will help you. What else do you need? There goes Holly. Like, that blows my mind. And it's absolutely awful to take advantage of you know, women who think this dude is hurt and he needs my help, and they helped him. And then once he was in the right position, and so was the female that was helping him, he would bash them over the head, hopefully rendering them unconscious, so he could then get them in the car fully, take them to an isolated area, and rape these females. That's so awful. Not only rape them, but then to kill them. It's just sad. So with that being said, y'all, please be careful. I know we want to help people, especially in the year 2020. We're all trying to kind of be a ray of light to someone somewhere, but please be careful. Okay, so here's Bundy. We know a little bit about him. He's trying to trick females into helping him by acting injured. But one night he decides, let's take this a little bit further. Dun dun dun. So this was on November 8th, 1974. There was a lady named Carol, a young lady at that, 18 years old. 18. She is at a shopping mall, and a police officer approaches her claiming that, hey, miss, somebody just tried to break into your car. You gotta come with me. Well, this police officer is Bundy. But of course, you're 18, you're young, you don't really think, and I mean, I'm older than 18, and if somebody told me that my car was, you know, someone had attempted to break into it, I'm sure I would freak out and not really analyze the situation or the person telling me, hey, get out here, come with me because your car. I probably would be ahead of the officer, like, who in the world is trying to steal my car? Let's get this solved. Let's take care of this. And that's what she does, and she goes out there with him, and he's like, okay, so we need to go to the police station because you need to sign some forms. You know, if you want to go ahead and sign for a complaint, we got to do it at the police station. Why she, and I'm not faulting her, I'm sure it was a very nerve-wracking experience, but to not drive her own car is a mystery to me. Like, hey, okay, I'll meet you at the police station. Matter of fact, let me call my mom. She's going to meet us here too because I'm traumatized. You know, like, that unfortunately is not what happened. She did get in the car with Ted Bundy. He was in the Volkswagen Beetle. So nothing's clicking with her yet. There hasn't been any, you know, why is this dude in a Volkswagen? I believe he did say he was undercover though, so maybe that helped some. But still, there was no, hey, I don't need, this isn't right. Let's hold off. Let me do this. You know, let me make sure you're being legit. So the two are riding along, heading to the police station. Everything's, I mean, as okay as it should be when you've just been told your car was almost broken into. And then Bundy pulls over. Pulls right on over, and he is trying to handcuff young Carol. And of course, she's freaking out. Good for her. She is fighting. She is swinging left and right. She's doing all that she can to get the heck up out of there. You go, girl. I did watch someone interview little Carol, and she actually said that Bundy managed to get a handcuff on one of her wrists. And I guess that would have been like, you know, he's got one handcuff on, so I don't have a lot of time to escape. And she managed to open the car door, fling herself out. She got the heck out of that car, and she flagged down another vehicle, and thank the good Lord, she just saved her own life. So the people that she flagged down in the passing car, they were able to take her to the police station, And she gave a description. She knew the kind of car it was. I mean, we're getting somewhere, guys. This dude, we now have a face. We now have what car. Okay, we're on the lookout. Well, it wasn't until August 16th of 1975. So that's what? 9 months after Miss Carol had escaped. We don't get any other break like the one that Carol gave us. So, highway patrolman Bob Hayward. He's almost finished with his shift. It's been a long day. He's ready. He just wants to go home. Sorry, Bob. That's not going to happen. He notices a Volkswagen parked outside of a home where he knows 2 young women live. It's a little suspicious if you ask me. Good old Bob, good old patrolman, turns his headlights on bright. Bundy, zoom, out of there, gone. Doesn't want to be there anymore. Ruined his plans, gotta get the heck out. Well, Mr. Bob was not finished. The 2 go off. Bob, highway patrolman, is chasing Bundy. But guess what? Bundy gives up, pulls over. I'm sure during the time of the chase, Bundy was quick enough to think of some kind of lie, some kind of something to justify his actions and why he was just parked outside of 2 young ladies' homes. Well, our patrolman friend decides to look through Bundy's car. And what does he find? What do we have here? He finds a ski mask. He finds rope. He finds handcuffs. He finds pantyhose with holes in it. I guess another thing to just put over your face. Just my guess. I don't know. Not a criminal. Well, he is questioning Bundy about that. About all the interesting finds. And I'm sure after a lot of, Patrolman Bob's like, all right, dude, you're coming with me. Let's go. He gets arrested. Yay, Bundy arrested. Oh my gosh, story's over. No, it's not. So he's arrested finally, thank the Lord. He is arrested for trying to evade an officer as well as being in possession of burglary tools. And so Bundy's spending time, he's doing his thing, but he's also being smart. Dang nabbit, smart people. So he is changing his appearance. He's trying to alter his appearance. So whether that's losing weight, gaining weight, changing up his hair. He's really trying to not look like Ted Bundy anymore because he's got to appear in a lineup, which the little young Carol that we talked about who escaped, she is going to be picking out who did that to her that night. And guess what? Carol, our girl, picks the dude that we want, Mr. Bundy. It was you. You silly... will not say mean words. Okay. Moving on. She picks the right dude, and he is now found guilty of aggravated kidnapping. And his sentence was, which honestly doesn't make sense to me. Whatevs. A minimum of 1 year and a maximum of 15 in the Utah State Prison. So while he's in prison, the police are like, yo, we think you've done a little more than what you're leading on to. We're going to do some digging. So they are looking up older cases, all these females that have gone missing. They're trying to link him to it, and they're finding, hair follicles and things that, okay, Mr. Bundy, this is your hair. You were here. And so he's just getting in more and more trouble as he's sitting there in prison doing whatever he does. By the way, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this eye look, but it's not the point of the video. Okay, so with all that they found, he actually, instead of aggravated kidnapping, now he is being charged with first-degree murder. Dun dun dun. So then he goes from the jail in Utah, and now he is being transferred to the jail in Colorado, where they found his hair in one of his murders at the scene. Her name was Karen Campbell. She was 23. and she was murdered by him. And then they finally found evidence of that. So now he is being transferred from Utah to Colorado for that murder. So this is where you can start to see that Bundy is quite the cocky dude. He wants to be his own defense team, his own lawyer. He's got this, I'm smarter than everyone, I'm better than everyone, I'm gonna do it all on my own. So with that being said, he is allowed to use, what am I looking for? Mascara. He is allowed to use the library that is in the prison or jail, or I know there's a difference, but don't quote me on prison or jail. He is allowed to use the library wherever he's locked up. So that's what he does. He says, I need to use that library. I need to study up on my case. I'm going to get myself out of here. Well, and by the way, this whole time where all this is happening, Bundy has a girlfriend. Yeah, it's crazy. But of course, he's denying it to her. He's denying it to everyone. He could never have done what they're accusing him of doing. Right. Anyways, he goes into the library and he is supposed to be under surveillance, of course. I mean, he's still locked up. And the judge, for some odd reason, so this is not just the security guard's fault. This is, I mean, the judge too, agreed that Bundy in the library didn't need to be shackled. He didn't need handcuffs or anything around his ankles to keep him retained. So the dude is just free in the library, wherever he's locked up at. Well, June 7th, 1977, old Bundy is in the library, and the security guard, who should be watching him, wants to have a little cigarette. Boy, what a bad time to have that habit. So he goes out for the cigarette. He comes back. And I'm sure you know what I'm about to say. There's no Bundy. That's right. Bundy is gone. Bundy had jumped out of the library window, which I believe was on the second floor. So that's not the easiest fall. It's not just hopping out of the window. You're falling 2 stories. And he just ran straight for the mountains. He didn't have a plan. He did not have money. He didn't have anybody helping him. That was just, he saw an opportunity and he took it. And he actually had about 10 minutes of free time once he jumped before anybody realized, oh, that serial killer that we're all trying to have locked up for life, yeah, he's gone. So, I mean, 10 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time, but when you're in that panic and you've got that adrenaline going and you're just trying to get the heck out of wherever you don't want to be. I have setting powder all in my hair. Cute. Anyways, he had 10 minutes before anybody realized he was gone. So he's running, he goes into the mountains, he finds a cabin that no one's staying in. He stays there for several days. And then I guess he got bored, or I don't know, for some odd reason he walked right back into Aspen, Colorado, stole a car. The car was reported stolen, and deputies, sheriffs alike, whatever, they pulled it over, they spotted it, pulled it over, and back to jail Bundy goes. Well, you think this is the end of it? We hope this is the end of it, but sit tight, it's not. So he's back in jail, and he's in a different jail this time. Different cell, everything's different. So he notices a small opening in the ceiling of his jail cell. And he actually has a friend come visit him in jail, and he says, you know, if I lost enough weight, I would be able to fit through that hole and escape. And for some odd reason, that friend just, oh, that's cool, and does nothing, doesn't think, hey, this dude has just escaped, maybe he's really planning something, maybe I should alert somebody and let them know if Bundy starts losing a bunch of weight, hey, be on the lookout. No, he didn't do that at all, didn't think twice of it. Sorry, I don't know if I can do a wing and talk at the same time. Anyways, didn't think twice of it. So next thing you know, Bundy has lost a lot of weight, and he escaped again for the second time. After escaping, then this dude now wants to go to Florida. So we've got Bundy the serial killer. He's in Florida, and guess what? More females go missing. Dang. And let me be more clear when I say women. One of them was a 12-year-old that he abducted from a junior high. Like, come on. 12 years old. That's so sad. So, Bundy, here we are again, and he has... more women are disappearing, and he stole another car. Which just isn't the brightest thing to do, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a professional... okay. Not a professional at, you know, thievery, stealing things by any means, but a car, I mean, all it takes is for someone to come behind you, the wrong/right person, to come behind you and run that tag, and it's going to say that it's stolen, and guess what, buddy? You're done. So that's what happens. Stole a car. It's another Volkswagen. Haha. And officer gets behind him, runs the plate because the car is being suspicious and stolen, gets pulled over. Bundy tries to play it off and not reveal to the officers who he is, what he's doing, that he's, you know, top 10 wanted by the FBI. He leaves that little part out for a little while. Then finally, after 2 days in police custody, there you go. Bundy's like, all right, I give up. This is who I am. Of course, the whole police station, I'm sure, was like, we've got him. And then finally, in July of 1979, Bundy is found guilty. Guilty, my friends. Guilty of first-degree murder. And as he's sitting on death row, more things start popping up. More murder charges, kidnapping charges. Everything bad started, everything that Bundy was doing just kind of started popping up. More evidence of this, more evidence of that. And I guess he figured since he was already in the electric chair, already going to his death, he would just go ahead and confess to it all. Interviews he did, was speaking to people, was still proclaiming his innocence with this whole, with everything. He spent 9 years on death row before finally being electrocuted. I forgot blush. But before finally being executed. And of course, he did have his charms and his good looks, which unfortunately led him to actually have fans while he was in prison. Like, fans. People liked him. You know, not really my taste in a dude, but whatever. This dude, I think the scariest part to me, like in my head and in my heart, is the fact that he was such a charmer and he was good looking, and anybody could have fallen for that and just been like, oh, you need help? Yeah, sure. I'll help you, no problem. What else do you need? You know, what else can I get for you? So it wasn't, you know, he wasn't the boogeyman, or, you know, he only comes at night and when you least expect it, he's right there at your bed. No, this dude was broad daylight asking people just to help him because he was injured and they lost their lives. 30 women that he confessed to, but 100+ women that have been tied to him. I mean, that's berserk. That's bizarre. It's pretty creepy to me. And may all those victims rest in peace. And once again, just to disclaim, I am in no way a Ted Bundy expert. These are just some things that I know, a little bit of knowledge that I looked up. I've never done this kind of video before, but I did think it would be fun for Halloween, just something a little different. So let me know what you think down below. This was fun. I was happy to just chit chat and do some makeup on this Halloween night, this Halloween special. So be safe out there if you're going out for Halloween, or if you're staying in, or any other day. Be safe. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell, hit the thumbs up button, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.